I want to talk a little bit about how I help people transform into their true selves. Now, I've been an energy healer for about 22, 23 years. I've been a past life regression hypnotist for a little over 11 years. And I've worked with quite a few people in that time. I do energy healing. I do something akin to life coaching and also intuitive consulting. I work with businesses. I work with individuals. I work on creative projects. But it all comes down to a few basic ideas. The number one idea is that life should be fun. Life should be a celebration of individuality. And unfortunately, societies, families, peer groups tend to crush a lot of that individuality. And it's kind of a legacy thing that's gone on through the years that, it's passed down from one person to the next and to the point where nobody thinks it's weird, but it is. So anyway, no matter whether we just do a normal consultation with no energy work or we do past life regression hypnosis, whatever type of work you do with me, it will come down to, number one, identifying core talents, identifying your life purpose, and getting a good vision for what it is that you want to be doing, that you should be doing, that you maybe aren't doing. Right? So we want to see the potential, and then we want to see the blockage. Now, the blockage generally is going to be emotional at the core. At the core of every issue, the way I look at it, there is an emotional avoidance. That emotional avoidance could take the form of an emotional seeking that is seeking an emotion to help avoid the other one. For example, if you're always seeking the feeling of success, that might be a way to avoid feeling like a loser. If you're always seeking love, that might be there, that might be happening, especially if you can't go without for any length of time. That might be happening because you're trying not to feel things like rejection or not good enough or anything that you associate with not having the love. So we need to identify what your true path is, what your true talent is, and then we need to ruthlessly uproot all of those stuck emotions, those stuck belief patterns that generally come out of the emotions that are stuck. And we need to move through that. We need to heal that. Some of the healing will happen just by looking at things on another level. Okay? So one of the things that I do is that I reframe your issue. And I tell you your story from a different angle. And a lot of times that angle can be very liberating. Let's just make a really dumb example. Let's say your issue is everybody rejects me. Nobody likes me. And I come back with, well, you're hanging out with the wrong people. Why are you even trying to hang out with those people? Of course they're going to reject you. It's an inauthentic thing of you to try to create a deep connection with somebody that you absolutely have no deep connection with. It's an inauthentic thing that comes out of loneliness, or it comes out of feelings of rejection, or whatever it comes out of. But when you do it inauthentically, you perpetuate the cycle of pain. So one fundamental thing that I do with people is help them reframe their issue. We do that in the talk therapy part of my work. We do that through energy healing, and we even do that through past life regression, hypnosis, through the QHHT method that I practice, and others. But it doesn't matter, in a way, what modality we use. We use the tool that's appropriate to the job. The most basic is a 1-hour talk session over the phone. It's $100 an hour. I just dig through everything you're telling me and reframe it. And also give you strategies and plans to take actions that will shift the energy. Now, for those sessions, you don't have to believe in any kind of energy healing or past lives or any of that. You just have to think, well, this is a guy that has some interesting ideas. I'll check it out. And that's all that's required for that. And you can do it once. If you don't like it, don't ever do it again. And then the next level is energy healing sessions. Those are 2 hours long, $200. Those can be by phone, or they can be long distance. They can be in person. Either way, I work out of Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, and generally I travel to my clients. You can check it out all on my website, andysway.com. But in those sessions, we talk for about an hour and a half. Same thing, getting to the core of the issue, reframing the issue, coming up with courses of action. And trust me, I will give you very unusual homework. You could ask any of my clients. They would definitely agree with that. And, the sessions that I do, the talk part of the sessions, are very guided by intuition. It's not really my ideas that I'm trying to put on you. It's really, I just kind of channel whatever comes through, and I tell it to you. And so in the energy healing sessions, we talk for about an hour and a half. The idea is I want to stir things up a little bit. The idea is that this is the scrub phase. This is where we scrub the pot. And then we do the energy healing, and that's kind of where we rinse. And so after a 90-minute conversation, you're going to lie down, whether remotely or in person. You can also sit up, doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to do energy healing. I've studied a lot of different energy healing techniques. I'm a Reiki master. I've done 12 years of studying vortex healing and other methods. But I've kind of put it into my own package and do my own thing by now. So I'm not really specifically a practitioner of somebody's method as much as I've kind of integrated, synthesized the methods that I've studied over the last couple of decades. And then the most intense experience that I offer in terms of one-shot transformation is past life regression. QHHT, or the quantum healing hypnosis technique, developed by Dolores Cannon. It's an amazing technique. If you haven't seen Dolores Cannon's videos, check them out on YouTube. The most unassuming woman. She passed away a few years ago, but I was lucky enough to study directly with her. And in those sessions last 4 to 5 hours. Sorry about that ringing. And they begin with a 2-hour conversation, going through your life story, going through all the issues that you are dealing with, physical, mental, emotional, whatnot. You put together a list of questions for your higher self, and when you go into hypnosis, the hypnosis is in 2 parts. The first part is we go through past lives. Generally, a client will see 2 past lives. Oftentimes, they will go through the death process into the afterlife, or they might see before a life and into the life, the planning for the life, the choosing the life. And then we ask to speak to the subconscious or the higher self, and you bring in a list of questions that you've prepared. All those things you always want to know. Was that a ghost in my bedroom when I was 5 years old? Who was that special friend that nobody else saw when I was a kid? Or I keep feeling like I don't belong here. What's that all about? Now, what happens in these sessions in the hypnosis part is that your higher self shows you the lives that you need to see to give you the highest degree of personal healing, awakening, and personal transformation of all sorts. Then we actually ask your higher self questions that you brought in, and follow-up questions that I ask, following up on the past lives that you just went through. Now, the thing is, your higher self chooses what life to show you, what day in that life to show you. And a lot of times, the transformation that happens as a result of those things is incredible. It really is wild. Because think of it like, if you have an issue from childhood that maybe, let's say, oh, my dad used to hit me when I peed the bed, but I got over it. He's a nice guy. He apologized. We're all good. Now, if you would go into hypnosis or any form of reliving that memory, if you would feel the fear that you had at that point in childhood, if you would feel the shame, if you would feel the intensity of those feelings, it would help you let go of those feelings. In general, it's not going to re-traumatize you unless you just stop right there and quit working on it. Then it could. But in general, it's not going to re-traumatize you. It's going to help you clear the trauma. It's like you're putting the wires together and then the energy can flow better. Okay, so... But then imagine if your traumas from a past life. How are you going to get to that without past life regression? Now, energetically, you could get to it just by exploring emotions because they're all there. And you don't need to know the story, just like you don't need to know the childhood story underlying your trauma. But with the past life regression, it's just a whole other thing, because there's a whole 2 hours of talk therapy that precedes it. And then the hypnosis lasts a couple hours, and then, going over here, going over there. It's rare that these sessions don't end up being 5 hours. And I've had sessions that went way more than 5 hours, but count on your session being done after 5 hours. I really try not to go over that. Besides all those things, I do space clearing. So just think of that as energy healing for spaces. Now that's something, for example, if you have a property that's not selling in terms of real estate, you may be a broker, you may be somebody selling the property, and it just doesn't make sense why this thing isn't moving. I come in, I clear the energy, and a lot of times it sells very quickly. There's no guarantee, but it's $500 depending on your location, how close you are to Hollywood. And for most of these projects, that's a drop in the bucket, and it can't hurt. I work for businesses, stores, department stores, fashion boutiques. Also, I've worked on a lot of fashion shoots, movie shoots, things like that, to just clear the energy. Because the thing is, if you've ever walked into a room and felt the vibe and maybe not liked it, then you would appreciate why it might be good to clear the energy of a space. And if you have ever seen one of those stores or restaurants that whatever opens in that space, it never lasts more than a year or two, and then it's empty again, and then another business tries, and every business in that space fails. I remember one as a kid in Modesto, California, and it was just this corner store or something. Might have been a restaurant, I don't really remember. But I just remember that no matter what opened in that spot, it didn't work out. Now, if they would have had the current me, I might have been able to do something about that. I can't guarantee it, but I've had a lot of success with that. A lot of success with stores in terms of not only increasing sales, but also keeping turnover of employees to a lower level, and just having a more peaceful vibe in general. Now, I can go deeper with businesses in terms of doing group sessions with employees and so forth. But if you have a business you want to know about that, just get in touch with me. andysway@yahoo.com, or check out the website andysway.com. And then also I do intuitive business consulting, and it's very similar to working with humans, with people, but businesses are entities, and there's a lot of emotion. There are competing desires within the owner, managers, employees. There's all kinds of things going on under the surface that can be destructive, and so, like, one thing I'll do a lot is fashion shows also. But basically, it all comes down to, in terms of energy, there's coherent, flowing energy, and that's what we want to get to. And then there are blockages that cause no energy, blockages that cause too much energy around a certain thing. So whether it's for you personally, whether it's a psychological, spiritual awakening kind of thing for you, or whether it's just clearing out a space or strategizing your life, I can help you. If you resonate with what I'm saying, you can send me a text at 212-505-7729. That is a New York number, because I just came back from California after living in New York for 33 years. And so my cell phone is a New York number, but I am located in Hollywood, California, and would love to talk to you. You can email me, andysway@yahoo.com. You can text me, 212-505-7729, or just check out my website, www.andysway.com. Thanks for watching.